Welcome back to Nerdium, the show that agrees that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I'm your host Matt, and to my left, my big furry Wookiee co-host, Cary. In this episode, we'll be celebrating May 4th the right way, by talking crap loads of Star Wars with you, and specifically one dude in particular.
Han Solo!
Han Solo.
Han Solo!
Han Solo. I'm captain of the Millennium Falcon.
We'll drop some fun facts that you may not know unless you're a hardcore fan, and we'll talk about Solo, a Star Wars story, coming out May 23rd. So with no further delay, may the 4th be with you.
So this week we'll be talking about the infamous Han Solo, now that the Solo, a Star Wars movie, is slowly approaching.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, a lot of us can't wait. Looks really good.
Well, of all my characters, he's probably one of my favorites. I'm always rooting for the anti-hero, and he was certainly... I mean, he became a hero, but I think he was far more of an anti-hero than he was an actual hero himself.
True. And he kind of spawned the kind of likes of the space cowboy that you see quite often now in sci-fi, like Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Alright, so let's kick it off with talking some original Star Wars. A few of the hardcore fans out there will know all these facts and probably correct us, even though we got them from a lot of fan sites, but...
it's somebody's going to call and say, well, yeah, but the Wikipedia says this, but Wikipedia says that, but just so you know, in this novel, 10 degrees removed from the movies, this is what it really says.
Yeah, we're going to try and avoid a lot of the expanded universe that wasn't made canon after the J.J. Abrams overhaul a little bit.
Which is too bad, because there's a couple of things I really appreciate that interfere with me when I watch the newer movies. I always forget that certain things didn't become canon and other things did, so it was very... It's troublesome sometimes.
Well, did you know before Disney actually got a hold of Star Wars and basically creators had full reign of how the story would go in the Star Wars comic books, there was a story where hyperdrive malfunctioned and set the Millennium Falcon careening to Earth?
No.
Where Han Solo was killed by Native Americans, and then Chewie lived out his life roaming the countryside, setting off the Bigfoot stories.
I can't imagine why that didn't make it into canon.
Yeah. And as we know that because of the new movies that came out, he's no longer a very big part of the future.
No, we should probably not try to spoil it for too many people, but I mean, let's face it, if you're listening to us, there's a good chance that you saw The Force Awakens. Yeah. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Not really much of a spoiler alert when the movie came out, 2 or 3 years ago now?
I think so. I mean, it's the old adage of at what point in time is it okay to say that Haley Joel Osment saw dead people in The Sixth Sense? Like,
oh, dude.
No, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh, no.
I know. I'm just notorious for blowing that for everybody. 16 years later, or however long it's been.
All right, so just a couple fun facts that I came across. That James Earl Jones recorded his lines in 2.5 hours and got paid only $7,500 for his work. Which
is a pretty good price tag for 2 hours of work. I mean...
Yeah.
I keep trying to convince my boss to go the James Earl Jones road, and he's just not having it, so good on him. Hopefully you got the royalties out of that ordeal, though.
Yeah, hopefully. Or at least from maybe Empire, he got a little bit more
Empire
money.
On.
Yeah. Also, George Lucas used newsreel footage from World War II dogfights as inspiration for his space battles, and he almost copied them frame by frame, which is why you get that intense kind of war feel.
Which is weird, because now I really just kind of want to go and have 2 screens going on, watching a World War II dogfight and the space dogfights going on in Empire or New Hope.
Yeah, to save you the time, there are documentaries out there that actually do that.
Yeah, well, good. Glad that saves me time, because I'd feel real silly if I just started doing that upstairs.
You gotta find the right newsreels that he's looking at.
That's very true.
The iconic character of Yoda had his origin modeled after the lead samurai Shimada, which was the mentor in the movie Seven Samurais. A lot of George Lucas's kind of inspiration for Star Wars came from Japanese films.
Did it really?
Yeah.
I knew that he was going for like the Western look, but I didn't know he was doing like the Japanese Ronin go there.
Yeah, he had a little bit there, and then Yoda also originally had a first name of Minch. Not Mitch, Minch.
Which is weird because you tell me that, and like I keep saying Minch Yoda in my head, I'm just like, nah, it's just not, it's not driving for me.
Sounds almost like a character from Office Space.
Yeah, I could see it.
And one of the more commonly known facts is that George Lucas kept secrets from his cast, like Luke and Leia being twins, and dropped that bombshell on them. I'm pretty sure after the scenes where they kind of kiss.
Which is funny because a little while ago I had just watched New Hope again, but I watched what I guess would be the revamped New Hope since like, what was that, came out in like the mid to late 90s when he added all the footage and touched it up and did all kinds of messy stuff with it.
Yep.
And like my first venture into Star Wars was off of a VHS tape, like the 1977 release, where they clearly don't know their brother and sister yet because they do not behave like they're supposed to. But then when Lucas went back and started playing the I have new technology and I want to clean it up game, it's almost cut so quickly it looks like a kiss on the cheek. Mm-hmm. But it's cut so roughly. I'm just like, ugh. Like I cringed at the brother-sister kiss thing, but I mean that was just abrupt and harsh.
Another secret that Lucas kept from the cast and crew was that Darth Vader was Luke's father. At the time, only Irvin Kershner, which was the director of Empire, knew, and then eventually Hamill found out shortly before actually filming that scene. I believe the lines are something along the lines of Obi-Wan killed your father, and those were fake lines that were put in to trick everybody because he wanted it to be a shock when the movie actually came out and didn't want anybody spoiling it.
I could see how it kind of blends in. Like, I could see Luke's reaction to Obi-Wan killing your father, and oh, by the way, I'm your father being pretty. I could see that overlapping pretty well. Yeah.
So the iconic line was dubbed over after and then put in the theatrical release. So when the cast and crew actually saw the final cut of the movie, they were surprised, and
I guess shocking. So.
And probably the most interesting fact that I came across was that in The New Hope, in the garbage compactor scene, the garbage is actually real.
Gross.
Yeah.
Super gross.
Yeah, Mark Hamill actually burst a blood vessel in the side of his face, holding his breath for so long because it smelled so bad.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, wet garbage. Yum.
Yeah. Gross.
Yeah. Gross.
All right, so let's go on to our little solo facts.
Everybody's favorite rogue smuggler. So we all know that he was an orphan born on the planet Corellia. Which I think I pronounced properly without trying to butcher it up too bad. And like all exciting boys, all he wanted to do in life was fly.
Yep.
He joined the Imperial Flight Academy. Is that right? I can never remember what their actual proper.
I think it was just the Imperial Academy.
Is it the Imperial? I thought it was a Flight Academy because didn't Luke want to go to the Imperial Flight Academy as well? Like, wasn't it like specified Flight Academy?
Might have been.
Okay. Either way, someone out there's gonna know. Someone out there's gonna let us know.
Yeah.
Or at least let me know. Either way. And of course, just like all good jobs where you get in and you start to see the mess, it doesn't take too long before you're like, hey man, really kind of not jiving with this conquering the universe thing you guys got going on here.
This is not what I signed up for.
No, absolutely not. Which, as we were talking about off the mic, it's where he met his good buddy Chewie.
Yeah, he actually saved Chewie from slavery, and by doing so, he saw the true nature of the Empire, and then that kind of kicked him down the right path. And ultimately, the reason why he hates Empire today.
Is it really the right path, though? Because, I mean, it was definitely a different path, but...
The less wrong path.
The not as bad as path?
Yeah, let's go with the less wrong path.
Because, I mean, you go from, like, straight haircut right down the line, Flight Academy to, hey, really not jiving with this slavery, conquer the world, and treat everybody like garbage life, to... Well, what I'm going to do is just commit intergalactic crime by smuggling everything that's not supposed to be smuggled all over the place. I mean, lead your best life or lead the better life than the one you had, I guess, is the moral of the story here.
Yeah, he's got a heart of gold, so...
And it was, of course, during his adventures that he bumped into his good buddy Lando, who would never, ever betray him to the Empire.
Yeah, that never, ever, ever happened.
Never would dawn on such a good man like Lando.
Yeah. good moral fiber.
Upstanding young gentleman.
What was the game that he ended up winning the Millennium Falcon in?
I'm going to try to pronounce it. I'm pretty sure it's Sabak.
Sabak.
Sabak, because there's extra C's at the end just to mess with me.
So, as we all know, he didn't always own the Millennium Falcon, and he did win it in a game of chance. And rumor has it, he won it with that famous pair of gold dice that you keep seeing popping up, and you might see pop up again in the Solo movie.
I think they have a whole scene dedicated to the acquisition of the Millennium Falcon. If you watch the trailer for the Solo movie, there is definitely a very handsome Donald Glover just sitting there, all Landoed out, looking good at clearly what is a card game.
Yeah. One of the less known facts about Han Solo was that he was married before Leia to a woman named Sana, but apparently that was just a cover-up for a con.
She was his beard.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, until we decided we were going to sit down and kind of talk about Han Solo for the evening, I didn't actually know that he was married before.
No?
No, I had no idea. It was, I don't really get out into the extended universe too much. It's this dark and scary place where apparently Han Solo can be killed by Native Americans and Chewie is Bigfoot, so try to stay in my own little bubble. It's a little bit more peaceful that way.
One of the interesting parts about that comic book that I forgot to bring up is that years, or like decades, or whatever, centuries later, his remains are actually found by a famous doctor / archaeologist with the last name Jones.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm not going to go chasing after that comic book because I'd probably just be rolling my eyes in the back of my head.
I mean, how many dents can you put in your walls with your head after reading something like that?
Yeah. I don't want to find it.
Mm-mm.
Also, what I found interesting was Han Solo was originally in the concept work seen as being either a Jedi or a green-skinned alien.
Ah, Greedo.
Kind of, yeah.
Instead of a nice humanoid, we get a nice Rodan.
Rodan. Yeah.
Rod something.
Yeah.
And on the topic of Greedo, Han shot first. Just throwing that out there. Just putting that out. I know everybody's seen the remakes where, oh, look, Greedo fired off. Didn't happen in the original. Han shot first. And for good reason. Not saying it was the wrong thing to do. Just saying. Han shot first.
Yeah, and one of the only people to not care about that is Harrison Ford.
I can imagine.
He could give less of a shit about that.
Well, I mean, do you blame him?
No.
No, I don't either.
But it is pretty cool, though, because his blaster was based on the German Mauser pistol, so that's why you get that kind of...
Which was another fact you brought up to me, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And then I sat here thinking about it for a second. I'm like, yeah, man. Totally is.
Yeah. Sometimes George Lucas didn't go too far to get inspiration.
No, apparently not.
Yeah.
Apparently not. But I mean, it was done the right way. Looks great, looks fantastic, and now that you've kind of cited the source material for it, I can definitely see how it, where he was going and where he came from with that.
Mm-hmm. I have some interesting kind of character development stuff that I learned from doing my research on Harrison Ford and the role of Han Solo. Harrison Ford was casted because Lucas wanted unknown faces.
Which is weird, but by that time, wasn't Harrison Ford kind of known already? Like, he did American Graffiti.
Nope, that was pretty much like one of the only roles that he was in.
Really?
Yep.
I thought he was a little bit busier before Star Wars.
No, he was he was a carpenter.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah. So Ford was cast in Lucas' American Graffiti, and he would play the antagonist Streetcar Racer. He was originally he was working at Francis Ford Coppola's house.
Coppola or Coppola?
Coppola. He was working at Francis Ford Coppola's house, working on Doors, and met George Lucas that way, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then for his contribution to Star Wars, he was originally only used to feed lines to the auditioning actors for Star Wars. And then George Lucas actually loved his delivery so much that he gave him the role for Han Solo.
No kidding. That's crazy.
Yeah, so he was just there. He was one of those guys behind the table that would say the line, and yeah. So Ford was also only paid $10,000 for A New Hope.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, everybody's getting stiffed on A New Hope.
Well, it wasn't really expected to be as successful as it was. There's a lot of theaters that didn't even want to show it.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever watch, the origin of the Star Wars toys and how that went down, I mean, nobody really expected any of it to really go where it did, so it doesn't surprise me that that's how it was handled.
Yeah.
Of the Star Wars characters, I'm pretty sure Harrison Ford kind of had like the biggest run post Star Wars.
Yeah.
I remember talking about that to a couple of other people, and it always seems to me that, Mark Hamill has definitely done a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie Fisher's definitely done a lot of work, but as for like big blockbuster movies and all that sort of jazz, like it seems like Harrison Ford kind of got the better end of that deal.
Yeah, he definitely got a lot of roles that were definitely got a couple roles that were definitely suited for him. Which was it where he played the President of Air Force One.
Yeah. He plays a good grumpy guy.
Yeah, he's got like permanent grumpy face.
Yeah, no, I really dig his grumpiness in all the roles that he has played.
You know, the Han Solo character was originally based on Francis Ford Coppola? And he'd been friends with Lucas and Lucas worked on Coppola's Apocalypse Now. And he kind of used Coppola's swagger and charisma to base parts of Solo on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Apparently he's a very charismatic dude.
I can see him being very charismatic, but without ever really seeing the guy, it's hard to picture him as that kind of sarcastic, cynical, laissez-faire wit that Han Solo has, but I could see it.
Yeah. And funny that you bring that up. Did you know that Solo's most famous line of I know, in response to Leia's I love you, was ad-libbed?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's right on the scene where Leia says I love you. He's supposed to say I love you back, or I love you too, and instead he says I know.
Well, I mean, it plays well to the character. Like he's not a mushy, feely, oh, I love you too kind of guy. He's just kind of like, yeah, you goddamn right you do.
Yeah. So no, it plays right into it, and I guess there's a few times where he kind of ad-libbed or changed the lines a little bit. There's definitely documentation of him disagreeing how George Lucas wrote the script, stating that you can write it, but I can't say it.
You can't make me say a damn thing.
Also, I didn't even notice this until I found this out when I did my research. Didn't even think about it. Before the prequels and the sequels, Solo was the only non-Force user to use a lightsaber.
Before the prequels?
Before the prequels and before the latest movies that came out.
When did he use... Oh, that's right, to open up the Tauntaun.
Yeah.
That's right, I didn't know that. I didn't even realize that. That's actually pretty crazy. It took me a second there to realize when he was whooshing around a lightsaber, but yeah. Now that you mention it, totally makes sense.
Yeah. Not that lightsabers were a very common thing in the original trilogy, like...
Well, they were supposed to be, like, special. They were, nobody touches these things but the Jedi or the Sith.
Yeah, they were like relics or ancient artifacts that have kind of been from a dead religion. So.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't until the prequels came along where suddenly it was just kind of everybody's got to have a lightsaber.
I'm pretty sure Anakin, broke a few of them in each of the prequels and kept having to get new ones.
Yeah, it really takes the whole idea of the New Hope where Obi-Wan's explaining to Luke, this is your father's lightsaber. Probably would have been more adequate to say, this is one of your father's lightsabers. Or this is the last one he didn't break.
Yeah. I have a box of them. They're in the back.
It's all good for spare parts. Don't worry about it. A bunch of different colors. No big deal. But this one still works.
And then Han Solo was actually supposed to die after Empire. So
really?
The whole carbonite freezing, it was kind of intended to be...
Like the good farewell. See you later, not coming back?
Kind of, but leave the door open just in case he was coming back. Harrison Ford had a lot of his roles taking off at that point, and he wasn't sure if he wanted to come back and reprise his role as Han Solo.
Oh, okay.
Ultimately, Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo killed off after Return of the Jedi.
Do me a favor, kill him off, would you?
Yeah, just because there's nowhere else to go with the character, and he wanted him to have some more significance and depth. To have his character kind of have more of an impact ultimately in the long run. Like, he was the hero.
Yeah.
He didn't want to become a tired,
grizzled old veteran.
Yeah, and it kind of happened too when the expanded universe happened. Like, Harrison Ford's character, or Han Solo, got kind of really washed out with all the different story arcs and stuff that took off after.
Well, I think a lot of people just kind of you know, all of us nerds growing up, you know, it was always Star Wars and Star Wars or Star Trek, you know, whatever you were into. But if you were really into Star Wars, there was a good chance you were really into Han Solo. Like if you and your friends went outside to play, odds are that if anybody was going to fight over who was playing who, you were either going to fight over who was going to be Darth Vader or who was going to be Han Solo.
Yep.
So the idea that the expanded universe has come along with all these authors and creators come along and say, well, I want to do my own Han Solo. Well, I want to do mine. Well, I want to do this. I can see how the waters could get really murky and really muddy after a while.
Yeah, and in the expanded universe pre-Abrams, he went on to have, like, what is it, 3 kids?
He had the twins for sure.
Yeah.
Because I remember during the Dark Apprentice series, he had twins.
What was it, Jason?
Oh, I can't remember their names to save my life.
Jason Solo, I think. And then Ben Solo was in there still.
Maybe. I know Ben Solo becomes Kylo Ren, but I can't. The twins were a boy and a girl.
Yep.
Which was what really, when The Force Awakens and the J.J. Abrams thing started up, like, I was convinced that, like, Kylo Ren and Rey.
Yep.
I was sure that that those were the twins, and I couldn't understand why they were separated. I just, like, whatever. And then, you know, it's every now and then I'm reminded that the expanded universe isn't always canon. Even some of the most important expanded universe series didn't exactly make it to the canon.
Yeah. I would have thought the same thing too, and then they're still kind of toying around with Rey's backstory. They haven't really kind of dropped on what actually it is yet.
Yeah. They have about one canonical movie, I suppose, left in the big 9.
Yeah.
So I'm really kind of hoping they can tie it up, but not rush tie it up, you know, like not, oh, by the way, here's their backstory.
Yeah, in the last, like, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I really don't want to spend the first half hour to an hour of the last movie going through Rey's backstory. Like, I'm kind of deep enough into this trilogy that I really just don't care. It's just not that important to me.
Also, for going back to the kind of the casting of Han Solo and all that, they had other people that auditioned for the role. Do you know, like, Christopher Walken, Kurt Russell, and Nick Nolte auditioned for it?
Oh, give me the Walken Han Solo. Give me the Walken Han Solo. When I was trying to do my research quickly before I was constantly interrupted, I wanted to find the list of people that auditioned for Han Solo before Ford got it. And, I'm so disappointed it could have been Walken.
For some reason, I think that there is an SNL skit where they had a bunch of people auditioning for Han Solo, and I think they had Walken in there.
That looks like something I need to hunt down on the internet.
Yeah.
It's got to be out there somewhere.
It's tough to find anything SNL because of their licensing stuff. They don't go up on YouTube for very long.
No, and if you go to, like, their webpage, our region is locked out of it.
Yeah.
All the more reason for a good VPN where you can just kind of skip through a region and unlock it.
Exactly.
It just goes to show you the internet is not as available as you think it is. You really got to do all those extra steps to get what you really want.
See what happens with net neutrality going on there.
Yeah, that's totally what I'm going to call it from now on. Neutral net.
Yeah. So also with the whole, when you mentioned Kylo Ren there's a lot of theories going on with that scene on the bridge where Han Solo got a lightsaber through the chest.
Mm-hmm.
One of the theories is that when Kylo Ren, Ben Solo was asking for help because there was one last thing that he needed to do and he didn't know if he had the strength to do it. One of the theories is that Han Solo positioned the lightsaber towards him on purpose, and then he was actually the one that activated it, so that he took that opportunity for Ben to do this terrible thing.
Took it away from Ben.
So it couldn't have locked him into that dark path down that way.
Okay, I can see it.
I'm
willing to entertain that theory, sure.
Yeah.
Seems like something he might do.
If it came up in episode 9, I would not be surprised.
No, okay, yeah. I can get down with that idea. Like, it just seems, we were talking about earlier, he's kind of looking to have the character killed off anyway, so what better way than to kill yourself off?
Yeah. Kylo Ren's kind of flirted with coming back to the light side several times, even through the last movie.
I often wonder, though, if that's just not a plot device just to keep things coming along. You know, I don't mind a flip-flop back and forth, but it always seems, you know, the second he gets close to that line of coming back to the good side, it's only to get something more for the dark side. It's just, I don't know. I kind of like my bad guys to stay bad.
Yeah, no, he's kind of bounced back and forth, and Ray's kind of came close to the dark side of that line a couple times.
I can appreciate getting close to the dark side line because, you know, that power is always attractive. It always draws you, you know, the whole moth towards the flame idea. But, you know, it's always just towing the line. I don't mind the line getting towed. I just, you know, don't straddle it.
Yeah.
Don't be greedy.
Yeah. And I think ultimately what they are building towards is more of the gray side of the Force there, where it's kind of no one side. It's kind of everything in between.
True balance.
Yeah, the true balance. In the later expanded universe, they actually do follow that a little bit more, where there are the gray Jedi, and there's kind of the gray following of Force users. I think even like they go on to explain that Mace Windu was a gray Jedi.
There, in the expanded universe with Yoda, there's definitely some really sketchy things that Yoda has done. Where he may fall into that category, like knowing a lot more about the dark side than he lets on, instead of just saying it's bad, stay away from it, that he was actually dabbling in some of the darker aspects of the Force.
Yeah, and I could definitely see that.
I mean, if you ever played the game, was it The Force Unleashed?
Yep.
You kind of get that jive from that particular character as well. Like he's definitely got his bad side. He's definitely not a good guy. Yeah,
you're talking about Starkiller there?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he definitely has that too. A lot of people say that a true light side Jedi can't use Force lightning or anything like that. So that's why the Mace Windu theory comes out that he was a gray Jedi. He was kind of in the middle there.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I'd like to see something more about that. Like the black and white is always great, but you know, throw in a little bit of gray in there just to mix it up.
Well, there's some expanded universe comic books that deal with Skywalker's grandson, I believe, where he is a pirate, and there's kind of an empire going on, and Emperor has like gray Jedi Knights as his bodyguards.
Personal bodyguards.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting.
That'd be a cool thing to read. Just you know, fun, check out sort of ordeal.
Yeah, they rock gray lightsabers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Don't know if I like the glowing gray as much as I like a good solid red or a blue or a green.
Yep.
And American Film Institute voted Han Solo to be number 14 of the greatest movie heroes of all time.
Did you catch who was number 1 on that list?
Absolutely not. Didn't really care. Was looking at Han Solo stuff.
Fair enough.
But I always kind of question that idea. Because, I mean, yeah, he does heroic things. He kind of does come in at the last minute with the second Death Star. He does do good guy stuff.
Yeah.
But would you really mark him as a hero? I mean, the whole genesis of Han Solo is, yeah, man, I'll get you from A to B. Make sure you get that money on the table. And no questions asked. I do sketchy stuff. I'm a shady character in a shady bar. But, like, I understand, like, as the series moves forward, yeah, okay, he has a few more redeeming points. But even in Empire, he's just like, yeah, pack my shit, I'm out. So I don't know if I can really say he's one of the greatest heroes, but he's definitely maybe one of the greatest rogues of all time.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see him as a rogue. Anti-hero, yeah, sure, that too.
You know, like, he has his redeeming qualities, but he's just one good reason away from taking off with that money.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that swimming around inside of a vat of real garbage with a one-eyed tentacle monster is probably a good enough reason for me to pack my shit and go. I am not sticking around to see what's popping up next.
Well, maybe the fact that he stuck around speaks to the hero side of him.
Yeah, sure, I guess so. I'll let that go for sure. I'm just saying that, you know, I kind of like my rogues. I like my sarcastic, not always good, on the good side kind of heroes. But, I mean, that's just my own personal bias. But I think there's more than enough heroes and good guys in the Star Wars universe where somebody that just kind of lives in that gray zone, kind of in it for himself, could, you know, stand out a little bit more, like Han Solo typically does. And besides, who doesn't like a charming, laissez-come-faire kind of dude? I mean,
yeah.
His smile puts a smile on my face. There's about a dozen people analyzing that statement and going, what the hell did he mean by that?
Yeah. I'm one of them. So, what are you expecting for the Han Solo movie?
I'd like to kind of touch on some of the stuff that we brought up, you know, the marriage that was just kind of part of a con. Really looking forward to seeing that Lando relationship, see how it was then, because, I mean, aside from throwing what is supposedly, quote-unquote, his best friends to the dogs in Empire, I really kind of want to see the origin of that. I want to see it kind of blossom. I'm not a really big Chewbacca fan, so less is more. But that's just for me. I understand there's a bunch of people out there that are really excited about it. I really just kind of... I want to see that young orphan going into the Imperial Academy. I kind of want to see that. More out of curiosity for the Imperial Academy than anything else, really.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a different Han Solo, too. He's going to be less of the negative kind of grump. Because in every Star Wars movie with him in it, he's always the guy that says, I've got a bad feeling about this.
He typically speaks for the audience most of the time.
Yeah. And then in one of the trailers released for the Han Solo movie, it's got him saying the line, I've got a really good feeling about this.
Yeah.
So that might be the one and only time that he says that.
I am kind of looking forward to seeing a little bit more of a naive Han Solo. You know, like, he didn't become the guy that he is by not making a whole lot of mistakes. So I kind of want to see the origin. I'm hoping we don't spend too much time dwelling too much on his childhood. I mean, we can just... You know, it's the Batman phenomenon. Like, how, you know, you don't really need to show me the whole scene of his parents getting shot and the crying. And we can just kind of fast forward through that in the credit sequence and just call it a day.
Yeah. It's pretty common knowledge at this point.
Yeah, right. So I'm kind of hoping that we really get to see, you know, that innocence lost and how we get to that grumpy old man that really just has a bad feeling about this.
Yeah. From what I've seen in the trailers, and I don't know if it's true to the movie, but... you don't see a whole lot of really, really young Han Solo. I think it's focusing on that one kind of time period in his life where he's kind of coming into his own and kind of the shaping years of his life.
Yeah. I'd also like to see a much younger, more slim Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see a little bit of that there.
I don't know if he was ever slimmer. Other than in the...
In prequels, he was pretty slim.
Yeah.
And when they did the re-release of A New Hope, he was a thinner Jabba, as if you could say that.
Yeah, he was a lot smaller.
Yeah, he wasn't the, you know, almost anamorphous blob that he is in Jedi. He was a little bit more mobile. He was a little bit more... He didn't quite look like Hedonism Bot from Futurama yet. He was more up and moving around.
Yeah, did you know it took 7 people to work that rig?
That would be a very cozy rig to get into.
Yeah. But, you get to see Woody Harrelson playing, I guess, his mentor in the movie.
I am looking forward to seeing me some Woody Harrelson.
He's going to be in a lot of things coming out these days, surprisingly. He kind of faded away there, and then all of a sudden he's kind of come back. He kind of
comes and goes. Like, he's just like, hey, I'm here, I'm doing a lot of stuff, and then he just disappears, goes on some weird pot-fueled sabbatical, and then pops back up again after a little while.
Needs more money for his weed.
Hey, man, that stuff ain't cheap. Somebody's got to pay for it.
Fog begins to thin, and then he's like, oh man.
Well, eventually the music stops and the lights turn on and you got to go home, right? So,
yeah,
you know, obviously he's like, damn, that bank account ain't filling itself.
Need me some Twinkies.
That's right.
So he plays, I guess, the mentor, and then you get Clark playing, I guess, the love interest. I wonder if she's going to be Sana. Did they have her casted yet as the name?
They did. I can't remember what it was, and I didn't bother writing it down because I'm irresponsible.
Daenerys Targaryen is going to be in the Han Solo movie, and it looks like she's going to be maybe the love interest.
It'd be pretty cool. I mean, I can look at Daenerys Targaryen for a little while anyway. I know, like I'm still kind of hung up on like the young Lando. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing Donald Glover play that character. Like, just really, like he just looks like what Han Solo eventually becomes. Just dark, shady, just in it for himself. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that relationship blossom.
So Amelia Clark's name is Kyra. So it's not Sana.
Oh, well, there goes that idea.
Yeah. Just had to look that up just to see.
Yeah.
Also, I don't really know a whole lot about the villain in this.
I'd hate to think that we're just going to have like a generic throwaway villain. But would it not be the Empire?
Well, like I know Paul Bettany is casted as Dryden Voss, and I guess Dryden Voss is a villain of some sort. I don't know enough of the story if he's actually been in Star Wars canon before. I imagine maybe he is in some of the earlier stuff. Possibly.
I would imagine that the main antagonist would have to be almost like a Red Baron-esque sort of pilot.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you do, Han Solo inevitably has to end up in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
He's inevitably got to show that superior flying prowess that he has. So you have to assume that that's going to be kind of what they're going to be going for like the main bad guy. You're not going to settle this with a game of sabacc. You're not going to settle this with, a bar brawl. You're going to have to settle this in space, in ships, flying around, just being noisy and pew-pew-pewing each other.
I could see them making him, say, like a crime boss or something that Han Solo slights or doesn't deliver on, and then kind of
almost like a stand-in for Jabba if we're not going to go the Jabba route.
Yeah, and the Empire could still be there, but it could be kind of the background noise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't know if Han Solo's beef is with the Empire that bad at that point, so I don't know.
Well, I think he's a known smuggler.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Empire would be there to definitely be a nuisance.
Yeah, okay.
And could definitely cause trouble and give him a reason to refine his flying skill. and help him improve on what he becomes as a smuggler.
Okay, I can see that.
We might even get a chance to see what the hell they did for the Kessel Run.
I definitely heard that Kessel Run will be in this movie.
Yeah, it would be a shame to not do the Kessel Run.
And then explain to everybody this whole parsec mess.
Well, you know they're going to go with it was a multiple checkpoint race, and he figured out how to do it the quickest. And they're going to go with what a real parsec is. They're not going to do the parsec that they were clearly talking about in A New Hope. They're going to go with the proper parsec term. Or it's just they're going to make some sort of weird joke about it. It's got to be one or the other or both.
Yeah, just poke fun of maybe that Han Solo doesn't actually understand what a parsec is and he keeps misusing this term.
That would be pretty good. I could see them doing something like that.
Yeah. The running joke is they just let him keep misusing parsec and that he just keeps bragging about it and people are like, that's not the right use of it. Okay, never mind.
That's not a measure of time. You know what? We're not even going to worry about it right now.
Just keep going with it, buddy.
Well, I think so. I mean, I think it's safe to say that we're both kind of looking forward to the next Star Wars story coming out to theaters.
Yeah, it's going to be a really expensive month for movies.
It's going to be a hell of a time trying to find the time to go see all of them.
That's the worst part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you have Avengers Infinity War, you have Deadpool 2, you have Solo coming out.
Yeah, you got The Incredibles 2 coming out, which is really just my guilty pleasure.
Yeah, just take the infant child and say that he really wanted to go see it.
Yeah, but I don't think intern Steve really wants to go see that one, so we'll have to figure something else out.
Yeah. Where is Steve? I haven't seen him lately.
I don't know.
He's got to show up for work once in a while.
I don't know. Something about being an unpaid intern, makes his own hours, messes up our movie tickets.
Yeah, I don't blame him for hiding a little bit after the whole movie ticket thing, but...
Well, we did kind of politely point out that he probably shouldn't be seen for a little while. I think that the time's up on that. I think he can show back up again. But
is there a well around here that he could have fell down?
There is a river.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to.
I'll go check the fish nets later and see if they caught a Steve.
All right. So I am officially tapped for my Star Wars facts and research so far.
I'm pretty much tapped out, but only because I only put in half the effort you did.
I didn't put that much effort in.
That should tell you exactly how much effort I put in.
Touche, good sir. All right, so that wraps up this week's episode of Talkin' Solo. As always, if we screwed up some sort of factual information and that you're a hardcore Star Wars fan and you want to correct us, you know where to find us.
It's all Matt's fault.
Yeah, always. You can look us up on Twitter at Nerdium Podcast. Instagram at Nerdium. You can send us an email at nerdiumpodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out on our Reddit page.
Our Reddit page and our slowly being constructed webpage.
Yeah, slowly.
So slowly. Apparently Rachel is still our CEO.
Is it still up there?
I don't know. I haven't checked in a little while.
Ah.
We were made fun of for a little bit, and I'm not sure. I haven't actually gone in and checked and seen if anything that we did stuck.
Yeah, apparently the theme came with dummy content that I somehow had an issue trying to remove. But anyways,
it's coming back. We're being haunted by dummy content, is what we're saying.
Yeah, apparently we actually have a CEO. We haven't met her yet, though.
I'm sure she's a sweet woman, but she could be a little bit more generous with the paychecks.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that news, till next time, nerds.
Take care, everybody.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking Nerf herder!